All right, we're going to look at how interest is applied to debt and how kind of debt and interest are intermixed and work together. So first off, basically, anytime you have a loan, and a loan is any arrangement where one party gives money to the other, where the other party promising to give back the money plus interest. So basically, somebody's going to give you money and you're going to pay them back. But you're not going to pay them back the exact amount, you're going to pay them back plus interest. Or vice versa. You give money to somebody and somebody else pays you back plus interest. Okay? Now we're going to get into more specifics of how loans work and all that kind of stuff later on in the next chapter. But we're going to hit the basics right now. So basically, couple of things. How loans work and how debt works in general. By the way, debt is just the amount you owe the person, right? And how the interest works and how loans in general work is the interest is always accrued on the remaining debt. So for instance, if I paid, initially $2,000 for an object and it's all in debt, well, after a while I'm going to be paying this back. So initially I pay interest on the $2,000. Let's say I pay $1,000 back. Well, once I've paid $1,000 back, the interest that's accruing is just on the remaining $1,000. Okay. So there's all kinds of tools and tricks, and like I said, we're going to get into some more detailed stuff next time, next chapter, excuse me. But we're going to see the basics today. All right, so here's how it goes. If we assume we owe $2,000 on a credit card, or to a credit card company in particular, and we have the interest at that credit card, which is 24%. By the way, for credit cards typically have the highest amount of interest of any types of loans. There are loans, short loans like the payday things and cash advance stuff that have really, really extremely high interest rates. But as far as long-term loans, credit cards are right up there. Okay. So assume you have $2,000 on a credit card, and you owe 24%. Credit increases the interest at a rate of 24% each month. So at the end of 1 month, how much do you owe in interest? Okay. This is a pretty straightforward calculation because all you're really saying is we start with $2,000. That's my essentially principal. We're going to gain 24% interest. Now, since it's monthly, it's 0.24 over 12, right? And how much do you owe at the end of the month? So at the end of 1 month. Okay. So $2,000 times 1 plus 0.24 over 12 will get you to $2,040. Now, be careful here because the question asked was how much interest has been charged. So $2,040 is the amount that I owe now. So I owe my original $2,000 plus an additional $40 in interest. So this question is actually asking for just the interest amount. And just the interest amount is $40. All right, so we can ask kind of a follow-up question as if you just paid the interest at the end of each month, what would you be charged over 6 months? Okay, so we saw that at the end of the first month is $40. So if you paid that $40 at the end of the first month, then the next month, remember, we started at $2,000. We were charged $40 in interest. That means at the end of the next month, we still owe at the end of this month, if I pay $40 off, I still owe $2,000. Okay? So at the end of month one, if I only pay $40, I still owe $2,000. So for the second month, we're going to gain interest again on the $2,000. And so in the second month, I'll also have had $40 in interest. Okay? And if I just pay the interest off, over 6 months, that's basically 6 charges of $40, you would have paid $240 worth of cash to the credit card company. Okay? So that's how much interest you'd have paid in. Now, think about this. You'd have paid in $240, but because you're just paying off the interest, you still owe $2,000. So you haven't actually bettered your situation there, okay, if you just pay off the interest. This is why most people suggest that you pay off as much as you possibly can when you have debts, especially things like credit card debts. Pay as much off as you can, as quickly as you can. All right, so I want you to calculate this. Assume you have a $175,000 mortgage, and your mortgage is at 5% interest. Now, mortgages are typically done monthly, so we're assuming compounding monthly. How much interest would you pay at the end of this month? Again, push pause, and then come back to answer the question. All right, so hopefully you've done that. And again, this is, I like to do 175,000. 1 plus 0.05 compounded monthly. Pay for this month, that's 1 month. So 175,000 times 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12 to the first power. And that'll come out to $175,729.17. So the interest you would have to pay is $729.17. Okay, so notice this is just, again, another application of the interest formula. This time we're thinking of it in a different context. Think of it in the context of debt rather than in a context of investing. So let's do that. Let's do this. Let's say instead of just paying the interest, what if we paid $1,000 above interest? So we paid an additional $1,000. Again, this is still the same $175,000 loan at 5% interest, compounded monthly. Okay, so how much interest would you pay for the second month? So what you're going to do is you're going to pay the first month's interest plus an additional $1,000. So I want you to try to do that and then again come back and see what's going on. So hopefully you've done that. Now, again, if you're getting a hard idea, or if it's a tough thing to grasp, what do you mean by $1,000 above interest? Basically, remember that first month we were charged $729.17. So basically, if I pay $1,000 above that, I'm going to pay $1,729.17. So that'll make my new debt $174,000. Okay, so I'm going to pay the interest plus $1,000. So that'll give me at the start of that second month $174,000 worth of debt. Now in this case, again, same deal. If I'm asked how much interest, it's 0.05 over 12 to the 1. So basically, again, type this into your calculator, and you'll get 174,725. Okay. So how much interest would you pay for the second month? Well, again, 174,725. That's this end amount that I owe. 174,000 is the starting amount, so the interest is $725. And in this case, it just magically works out fairly nice where we don't have decimal places. So $725 is the amount of interest in that second month. All right, let's do it again. I want you to say, okay, so I paid off this $725, and then I pay an additional $1,000. How much interest would I be charged for the third month? And go ahead and calculate this and see what's going on. All right, so again, at the start of the third month, I'm going to pay my interest, and I'm going to pay an additional $1,000. So my first month, I started out at 175,000. Second month, I went down to 174. At the start of so I paid off that first 1,000. At the start of the third month, I'm going to be at $173,000. And I gain, the bank gains 5% interest. And so when you calculate this, you'll get $173,720.83. So the interest you're charged is $720.83. And I hope that obviously the calculations you should be able to do, but also you should see that the lower this amount is, the lower this principal is, okay, the remaining principal, the smaller amounts I'm going to be charged in interest. So the lower the principal, like 175 lowers to 174, lowers to 173, the smaller amount of interest I'm charged. All right. And in general, that's how it works. It's always going to be that way, regardless of the situation. As the principal lowers, you're going to be charged less interest.